Scarily Plausible Technology Conspiracy Theories in 2020. Fifth, light bulbs. Planned obsolescence breaks products down artificially quickly, forcing consumers to buy replacements. A blatant case of this is the design of light bulbs. At first, researchers aimed for longer-lasting light bulbs. One in the Livermore Fire Department building has shone for 112 years. But such expensive designs lowered revenues because demand was limited. So the main brands, including Philips, Osram, and General Electric, are said to have formed a conspiracy to make money and reduce bulb quality. This supposed conspiracy group was named the Phoebus Cartel after the sun god Apollo. The Phoebus Cartel parceled the market and adopted a two-tiered strategy. First, like all cartels, the oligopoly hiked prices. Next, to keep a constant revenue stream, they modified designs, lowering each bulb's lifespan to a puny 1,000 hours. Although the cartel only existed from 1924 to 1939, they disrupted the market so that all lighting equipment would be engineered not to exceed the artificial lifespan. Fourth, a PC on every desk, as long as it runs our software. Microsoft is the company that put a computer on every desk. Many others had tried before, but Microsoft's Windows operating systems, Office productivity suites, and DirectX APIs broke computing into the mainstream. The path, alas, was not one of roses, and they engaged in many disreputable practices to reach the top. Microsoft became the face of computing in the 90s due to a mixture of good enough software, aggressive marketing, and an even more aggressive stranglehold on hardware vendors. For example, Intel learned that if they worked with other software companies, Microsoft would focus their efforts in compiling Windows for non-Intel hardware. Microsoft further convinced manufacturers to falsely market configurations as Windows X capable. Documents released in October 1998 revealed the company's plan to extend fear, uncertainty, and doubt (FUD) about perceived competitors like Linux. And, of course, plain old bribery can ensure that governments and public servants all over the world choose the right software. Third, Apple slows iPhones to get you to upgrade. Every time Apple markets a new model of their iPhone or iPad, they also usually release an update to the iOS operating system. Owners of older model devices find their beloved gadgets slow and unresponsive if they upgrade their software to the latest version. New models don't have that problem. This seems like it could be just personal perception, caused by the desire to have the latest model, but top-tier Android phones don't have that problem. This is due to their different development patterns. Google writes Android software, while manufacturers like Samsung and Motorola build the hardware. Apple handles both the code and the phones, letting them effectively enforce planned obsolescence. Second, FM radio. FM radio has lower interference, higher audio quality, and less noise than AM radio, which is sensitive to electric storms and high voltage lines. There are drawbacks, like shorter range and higher complexity of equipment, but none of them justified the delay in the widespread adoption of FM radio. The real reasons are much nastier. The Radio Corporation of America initially built its empire on AM stations. They successfully pushed the Federal Communications Commission to move the spectrum allocated to FM broadcasts to a different band, rendering existing equipment not just obsolete but illegal. The subsequent depression and financial struggles pushed radio pioneer Edwin Howard Armstrong, who worked for RCA, to commit suicide in 1954, aged 63. After his death, lawsuits he had filed were resolved in his favor, too late to save him. First, inkjet printing. Printer ink is one of the most expensive liquids known to man, dearer than blood or fine champagne. Official ink cartridges are sometimes more expensive than buying a completely new printer. This is due to the razor and blades business model of printers. The printer is sold at a loss, but the cartridges have a huge profit margin. Manufacturers explain the cost of ink as being necessary due to the difficulties of the printing process. But there is more. Certain printer models are, like light bulbs, engineered for failure. After a company creates a successful printer, it can reduce the quality of some units just by downgrading the firmware. The maker minimizes its costs by manufacturing the models together but maximizes its profits by selling the models at different prices, segmenting the market. Some printers even count pages internally, and once the counter hits a certain number, the device becomes useless. There are means to bypass the counter, but they void warranties.